welcome to BanjoBenClark.com. I am Banjo Ben, your host here on the website that teaches you how to play mandolin. Banjo this week is guitar. Last week we did a bag of licks for mandolin in the key of E. I had a lot of feedback on that lesson, so I thought, let's do it on guitar. We haven't done a bag of licks in E yet. Let's build it around a 12-bar blues progression, get outside of our box a little bit for some of you, but this is really, really fun stuff. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to learn 6 E licks, then we're going to learn 3 licks in the key of A and 3 licks in the key of B. No capo. So this is good stuff. We're going to talk about how we get these licks. But what's even cooler is that a lot of these licks are transposable. Some of them are closed positions, so you're learning licks that you can use all over the guitar neck. But we're also going to introduce this hybrid picking idea where we're going to use a flat pick and a few fingers. So I just want to introduce that to you if you've never done it before, because it's a lot of fun. So if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, here in a moment I'll ask you to come over to the website, BanjoBenClark.com. You can come over there, watch this lesson. It's about 30 minutes long. We're going to learn all these licks, then learn how to put them together, then learn how to rearrange them and use them in all kinds of songs that are in the key of E. Also, I have the tabs, just like I play the solos, as well as 3 different speeds of MP3 rhythm tracks. So come on over there. All right, let's jump right into this one, bag of licks in E. Today we're going to do a 12-bar blues progression in the key of E, and we're going to do a bag of licks for that. So I'm going to teach you 6 E licks, I'm going to teach you 3 A licks, and I'm going to teach you 3 B licks. And, a couple things we're going to do here. First of all, I am going to teach you those licks, as I mentioned. But also, I want to talk about how we get those licks. So we'll go a little bit over the scales and where these licks come from. And then also, I want to talk about how to transpose these licks and create new licks of your own, as well as how to apply them. Now, let's go ahead and throw up the first line of tab here, and we'll jump right into this thing. Our first couple of E licks, we're going to begin on our low E string. And what I tried to do strategically for these licks is give you different licks for wherever you might find yourself in the guitar neck. So I want to give you a couple that begin on this low E note. I want to give you a couple that begin on this E note here, and I also want to give you a couple that begin on this high E note, so that you always have an idea of where you can go if you find yourself over an E chord. So we're going to start out doing some boogie-woogie type stuff. Actually, we're going to have two E notes, and then I want you to slide there, measure 1 with your ring finger to 3 to 4. Then 2, 2, 4, 2. So measure 1 sounds like this. You'll notice I have those little arrows beneath each one of the notes. That's our pick stroke directions. I'd like for you to follow those if you could. And then all we're going to do in measure 2 is take those same notes that we played measure 1. We're just going to switch up the order, okay, to present a different sounding lick. And this is also an object lesson here, because you can take any lick mess with the timing, mess with the order of the notes, and come up with completely different sounding licks. So measure 2 sounds like this. Okay, so now we did a slide to start with. Now we go up to 2, 4, 2, and then come back for a hammer on. So you'll notice that we didn't introduce any extra notes in measure 2 that we didn't have in measure 1, but they're 2 different sounding licks. And although this measures 1 and 2 can be looked at as 1 big lick, obviously it can be looked at as 2 small licks as well. So measures 1, 2. Pretty cool, huh? I like that boogie-woogie sound. Now we're going to continue kind of that boogie-woogie sound, but we're going to bring in a little bit of the bluegrass here, working out the pentatonic scale in measure 3. For this E lick number 2, I'm going to give you 2 octaves of what we might call an E run. A lot of times whenever I start off my lessons, I'll do a G run. Okay, and I want to do that same lick, same intervals, but we're going to do it starting on an E note. Same lick as this. Okay, but it's good to be able to know how to do that in every key, whatever you want to do. So we're going to start here with the quarter note, then we're going to play 2nd fret, hammer 3 to 4, then go up and 2, 4, up if I can play. So measure 3 sounds like this. And if you just wanted to finish that E run, you could land there on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. That's an E note. But then I also use that note there at the start of measure 4 to be the anchor for playing it again an octave up. But this time we're going to have to move positions to get it. So we'll play a quarter note there in measure 4. Then I want you to slide everything up, index to 4th fret, 4, 5, 6, hammer on that, and then come up 4, 6. And then obviously the ending of that would be a high E note, and you could get that with an open E string, or you could get that with 5th fret. So we play measures 3 and 4 slowly. Oh, let me do it again. And then you could end it there, or end it there. So there we have, 2 big E licks that are 2 measures each. But again, we could really look at that as 4 different E licks, because each one of those measures is somewhat self-contained. Let's go to measure 5. And for our 3rd E lick, we're going to begin on our high E note there, because a lot of times we find ourselves up here in the upper register of the guitar, and we just need something to crank out, starting with that 1st string. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to, E lick number 3, we'll start with the open E string, and then we're going to come down beneath it and slide up to match that note on the 2nd string. So it sounds like this. 1 and 2, and then you play the E string again. So 1 and 2, and then for the 2nd half of that measure, we're going to hammer twice on the minor 3rd to the major 3rd. So measure 5 sounds like this. And then we're just going to kind of reinforce that slide idea, measure 6. And then it holds out for the rest of the measure. So that measure, lick number 3 sounds like this. You don't have to do that slide with your ring finger. You can do it with your index. Then you can come up, do some more licks up there if you want it. Now measure 7, this E lick number 4, I thought this was really cool. A lot of you are familiar with this G lick. G blues E lick sounds like this. That's something that Tony does a lot, right? And there's different variations of how that sounds. I thought, what would that sound like if you did it in E? Well, we're in G whenever we do it like that, and my finger's hovering over the root, that G note. But if we moved everything down to where we start with an open E string, the same pattern works here. Okay, except I'm not having to play my 1st finger because it's the open strings. So now I can move up and play it with my ring if I want it. And it sounds like this, measure 7. Measure 8, I'm going to change it up a little bit from that G lick, come down and grab an open D string, which is the dominant 7th tone. Then I'm going to hammer on 3rd string and land on my E note. So measure 7 and 8, E lick number 4 sounds like this. A little quicker. I love that. All right, we got 2 more E licks. Let's look at these.